Hola, soy Tomás y aprendo español. Hi, you're here because it's a new year and you want to learn a second language. Me, I'm learning Spanish. So this channel is called the Esperanto Variety Show, so we have content in Esperanto and about Esperanto. And going into 2019, we're going to have more tips on language learning in general. Of course, regardless of when you watch this video, every year is the start of a new year. I'm recording it just after the first of the year, and I have decided that in 2019 I'm going to learn Spanish. You can start whenever. It's always a good idea to learn a second language. I speak a few languages. The language I speak most fluently is called Esperanto. I've had a lot of fun over the years exploring different languages, and I know what works for me. And also teaching other people, so hopefully I'll be able to help you find some techniques that will work for you, regardless of which language you want to learn. I also want to share my story with you. I'd like to, if you could encourage me to continue with my Spanish, and if I can encourage you to continue with the language that you're learning, I think that would be great. So hopefully you can subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so you don't miss anything. Okay, so when I say I'm learning Spanish, I do have to admit I've had some exposure to Spanish going back to when I was a kid watching Sesame Street, right? And we'd learn how to say cerrado, and shoot, I don't remember. I'm learning Spanish, all right? We learned to count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that sort of stuff has been with me, and it's surrounded me all my life. If you grew up anywhere in a similar situation, that's probably familiar to you. And one of the things I'm really looking forward to as I learn Spanish, I've got my materials gathered. This is a book that I picked up. It's about 500 pages, so my goal is to do an average of 2 pages a day. That'll get me through that book by the end of the year. And I also found my flashcards. People ask me, how many languages do you speak? And then I say, well, it depends on what you mean by speak. Well, how many languages have you learned? Right? So my rule has always been, if I've made flashcards, then I can say I've learned a language at least a little bit. I did find my original flashcards, and there are 50 of them, so I can't say that I spent a lot of time learning Spanish, but you pick up a word here or there. One of the things I wanted to talk about today is that a lot of the Spanish vocabulary is going to be familiar to you already. Some of it will be from just hearing things. If you live in the U.S., a lot of signs are bilingual. And you hear some on TV, you pick up things here or there. A lot of the words that end in tion follow a regular pattern between Spanish and English. And one thing I think I have going for me is that because I speak Esperanto, a lot of the words are familiar from there. So I made this list just today, just real fast. I took a list that I found online of 500 basic words, and de, la, que, en, por, con, estar, right? A lot of these words are almost exactly the same as they are in Esperanto, so that's kind of neat. So I don't have to really learn these words, although I'd have to learn. Sometimes they're spelled a little different, that sort of thing. So I have a series of videos that I call How I Became Fluent in Esperanto, and I think the tips in that video will be helpful for you no matter which language you're learning. And these are some of the things that I've done over the years, and I believe in real flashcards. I think one of the things that I know I struggle with, I've got to think other people do too as well. When you bring out your phone or your computer or whatever, you're like, oh, I'm going to get online. I'm going to work on my language today, and then you get an email, you get a message from somebody. You're like, oh, I wonder if there's any news over here, right? These old flashcards are such a pain in the butt to use, but they also don't distract you with other things, right? So if you're spending some time on your flashcards, you're not going to be distracted by the other things that go on. I use Duolingo. I'm in the middle of a test where I'm trying to get as many XP as possible in Spanish. I know that using XP is not necessarily a great way to learn, because XP doesn't necessarily relate to how much you have learned. Because I am pacing myself through this book, I know that I'll be picking up these words in a good order. This book came recommended to me. I'm still in the process of evaluating it myself. I'm going to be letting you know what I think about it in the next couple weeks. So far, though, I really do like this book. The explanations are short and to the point, which is kind of what I need at this point personally, because I've been through a lot of this. I don't need a long explanation about what an indirect object is, that sort of thing. Starting with page 1, chapter 1, it says gender of nouns and the definite article. A noun is a person, place, or thing. Right? Simple, to the point, and we know that Spanish has masculine nouns and feminine nouns, and I am in the process of learning some of those. Oh, I got into trouble because I was doing an exercise with the word vino, and I could not remember whether it was el vino or la vino. And I was thinking, oh shoot, there's a word that I know from Esperanto that's in Spanish and it's feminine. And so I wrote down la vino and I was wrong. It's el vino. El vino, and then the other one, I think the word I was thinking, and then libro. Libro and mano. And I'm suddenly not sure whether it's libro or mano that's feminine. I'm going to find out and put it on the screen. I'm going to read some lines from my last homework exercise, and you can tell me how horrible my pronunciation is, right? El hombre viejo, that means the old man. La situación difícile, the difficult situation. El idioma maravilloso, el idioma maravilloso, the marvelous language. Sí, creo que español es un idioma maravilloso. Okay, so what am I learning here? So I have just some random words that I'm learning at this point. One of the things I know that I've struggled with is learning the conjugations. I'll be working on that. But just, I think the point of what I want to tell you today is a lot of these words are familiar to me already. We have bien and bueno, and I haven't yet learned the difference between those two words. But we're going to find out, but that's related to the word bona, right? It sounds like an Esperanto word. Tiempo, tempo, same thing. Mundo, mondo means world, mundo. Contra, sounds like the Esperanto word contrao. There's según and seguir, and those both sound like the word sekvi. So I recall según is according to, and seguir means to follow. Tener means to have in Spanish. Sounds like the Esperanto word to hold, right? So a lot of these words are immediately familiar to me because I speak another language already. Learning a second language can change your life. It can be fun. So I encourage you to do that. If you're learning Spanish, let me know in a comment below why, what motivated you to learn Spanish. Is this a New Year's resolution? Are you listening to this in June? And if so, happy new middle of the year. This video is kind of an exploration here because I'm hoping in the next few weeks to have some more general tips. I've got some things that I started filming already. For example, in Duolingo, I wanted to see as an experiment how quickly I could get to level 10 in Japanese, how quickly I could get to level 25 in Spanish. Still working on that. Yeah, and then I'm about to hit my 1,111 day streak on Duolingo. I need to do a video about that. What have I learned in well over 1,000 days on Duolingo? So if you can hit this button down here to subscribe and use the bell so you get the notifications when I come out with these new videos, that would be really great. And if you are serious about learning another language, I hope you can check out this playlist here of how I became fluent in Esperanto and some tips that I used. Some of it is specific to Esperanto, but a lot of it, most of it will apply to any language that you're learning. So yeah, let me know, what language are you learning and why are you learning it? Thanks for watching. And I'll see you over here.